So here we go. This is the third part of the day 9 Southern Tier route. Again, this is my version of the Southern Tier. And this part is the last part of the ride I did on the loop in Tucson. This is about 2/3 of the loop, and most of it is uncut, so you get to see the entire trail. Now, if you didn't watch the other parts, the video explains that the loop starts at the Canada del Oro bike trail, at least this ride, I'm sorry, and it's probably Cañada del Oro bike trail. As a reminder, if you didn't see the other videos, look and just see how many bridges they put on this bike trail to allow you to ride uninterrupted and safely. So again, I have several videos on my YouTube website under Crime Cycle, and several of those videos are done on the Tucson Loop bicycle trail, or the loop, and they are made at 10 times the normal speed. That way you can see much more of the trail in a much shorter period of time. But what it does do is you don't get to see as much detail in the trail itself. Having said that, that's not a major deal. They do have cracks in the pavement in various parts, but nothing that to me was bothersome. It would be nice if they filled them all in on a regular basis, but they don't, and I'm assuming that would be rather expensive to do that. So I'm here on the bike trail, and I think I was just checking if I needed to go across the across the surface street to get to the other side, and that's what I'm going to do. So here we are going from the south bike trail to the north side of the Dry Riverbed bike trail. If you didn't hear me before, this bike trail actually extends on both sides of the Dry Riverbed on much of the trail, but there are parts where it doesn't go on both sides, so you have to cross over on the bike trail in order to go the entire loop. So I'm going to be riding here on the north side and go down, and then I will be crossing back over to the south side and then back over to the north side for the last portion of the ride. And I should be clear that the transition from one side of the trail to the other is very smooth, and really normally doesn't interfere with traffic at all. There's a few of the roads there where you actually ride on the street, and so when I go across on the next time, I do. But I actually believe that there's a cut across that I haven't taken, that is just for bikes or pedestrians, so you can avoid the surface street that I'll be taking. If I was more familiar with this area, I'd be doing that. Now, you see me throughout the ride taking my gels. I use energy gels and then energy bars while I ride, almost solely. When will be riding during the day, I will also just stop for lunch and have a regular lunch, and then split my day up that way. Now, the other thing you'll notice is sometimes the picture looks weird, like it did just back there, and it's going to be directly to my left or my right, and that's because I'm using the GoPro 360 Max or Max 360, so I get a 360-degree video when I'm riding, but there is only a front lens and a back lens. So there's actually a part in the video when you turn it around that if there is something up close, like my hand or that something else, it will be cut out, and you'll notice that. Otherwise, when you see me go in a full 360 loop, you really don't notice the difference. But the other thing, and watch, you'll see, you don't see the break in the video there as I go completely around. Okay, so we're back up front. The distortion basically is gone when you film straight back or straight forward, for obvious reasons. But I'm amazed at the clarity in the video. The unfortunate part of a 360 video is it is very difficult to process to make the complete video. So rather than have, for instance, a GoPro video that would take the picture at 10 times the normal speed, and all you do is hook it up and put a little music to it, and then you can play it. Well, this one I discussed in the previous video. You have to download each 8-minute segment individually, then you have to rotate the video and play it back at regular speed and show the scenery that you want to. Consequently, you can miss some stuff, but the main idea is to give you a view of what it's like as you're riding down the bike trail, and get you interested in riding here in Tucson, Arizona, down the loop. And again, I'm going to repeat myself if you watch the prior videos, but this is part of a 50-plus mile loop around the city of Tucson, where the majority of it is off surface streets, or where it's not on a, where it is on a surface street, generally in a nice bike lane. So if you see the screen now, it mentions that there's a video screen which comes shortly. And notice the bridge we just rode over. That counts the number of cyclists go through it every day. And I believe it also counts pedestrians and runners separately. And I will try to tell you when we go under that, if I can see it. So I also mentioned that this is the second of 2 really nice days of riding. It wasn't very warm, it was just about right, and was not cool at all. So a really nice bike riding temperatures. So the first 2 days of the ride were perfect riding conditions with very little wind. And starting then tomorrow for the video, the weather changes dramatically, and it's going to remain cold for the rest of the trip, and you'll see the clothing difference. And as an example, the shirt I had on today in this video and the shirt I wore in yesterday's video are, well, here's another bridge solely for the bike trail. So those shirts are shirts I only wear in weather when it's a little cooler than normal. So I'll wear those when it's between like 70 and 80 degrees because they're comfortable, but they get hot over 80 degrees. And while they're still good bike shirts, they're just quite a bit warmer. The other shirts I wear on the trip that are short sleeve are much cooler, much stretchier, more comfortable, and do much better when it gets a little hotter. And they get rid of the perspiration much faster. And just coincidentally, you can see that I'm wearing the same shirt on another day, but I've got actually I think it's day 24, which may be the last day of the trip or the second to last day, but it was a lot cooler. So, simply put, this is a really nice bicycle trail, and I hope if you watch it long enough, you have a desire to come to Tucson and ride it. And if you live in the Arizona area, taking advantage of that. Boy, they have a lot of cactus that I didn't really pay attention to before, planted alongside this. Wonder if they had to plant them or if they were native to this particular area, especially since I don't see them out in the dry riverbed. So here's at least the third bridge since I started this part 3 of the video, and this is a good sized bicycle bridge. Now I'm trying to think if you would have watched my other videos, and I suppose there's a chance. Again, this portion of the loop is 2/3 of the ride that I took. I'm sorry, 2/3 of the loop portion of the bike trail. So the first part that I recorded, part 1, was Cañada del Oro, or Canada del Oro. As I've explained, I'm Canadian, so I kind of prefer to call it Canada rather than Cañada, if that's the correct pronunciation. And so that was about 10 miles long, maybe a little more. And the rest of this ride is approximately, I want to say 30 miles, but maybe it's only like 26 miles on the loop. That might be closer because the loop is just a little over 50 miles around Tucson. So maybe it's slightly less than that. If you continue to the end of the video, you'll see what the mileage is. I know that'll be posted. So you can see this trail is riding alongside some businesses. But you know what? I don't recall really being bothered by any of the car noise or anything. It's just a very peaceful bike trail. And this may be the part of the trail where they have the count. So if there is a complete overhang, and there I see it up there, right in there on the right hand side is the visual counter where you can see, I should have stopped and given you a good look at that, how many bicycles went by. It's actually pretty clever. If you watch any of my other videos, you'll see that I frequently meet with my wife as she follows me in the motorhome. This is the only ride, another bridge by the way, where I saw her at the very beginning and I didn't see her until the very end. Solely because of the work she was having done to the stems on the tires, so that we didn't have an issue on the trip. And once she got that fixed, it was only a question of whether where we were going to find each other. One of the things that made that difficult, because I could just stop anywhere and meet her, was the fact that I had very little time. I've explained in the other videos, I didn't start this ride until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and well, here I am talking to her on the phone, if you can hear me. She's telling me where she is, and I'm telling her approximately where I am. And we'll do that 4 or 5 more times. Again, if this was a normal ride and it was like 1 o'clock, we would just stop up here at any one of the many locations and just have lunch together or not. Another bridge, by the way. I think that's the 5th one. And there's a lot of food just right next to this, and it's really easy to get on and off and sit down. The only complaint I have is, despite the restaurants being right off the bike trail, they don't let you bring the bike inside. And I am a little antsy at leaving a $6,000 bike outside for someone to take. I will do it, but sometimes, one time we stopped at In-N-Out and just sat on the outside and ordered. And actually more than one time, because the place we started, we ate at In-N-Out after the first day and just sat outside, had a meal, and then went back home, only to come right back there the next day. So this place is just too simple to get off. You can pretty much stop where you want. I don't know what their policy on camping is, but since on the portion of the trail that goes alongside Interstate 10 around the city, there are homeless people all over that place. I don't know why they would be upset if you camped out while you were riding through. It'd be humorous if they kicked you off that area when they're letting all the other people stay there. So it looks like I'm talking to Vicky again. She's still apparently trying to figure out when we're going to meet up. Or I am simply trying to see where I'm going to cross over. Or maybe I'm calling her to give her an idea. I don't know. That was too long ago. That was several months ago when I actually wrote this. But if you look down and look at that pavement and see how nice it is and how well marked they've done, and how few people are actually on it. There are a few, but this isn't the weekend, and it's just a really peaceful ride unless you want lots of people on the trail itself. So I said this in one of my other videos. I think I had recorded this before, and it actually, our dogs interrupted the recording, and so when I was saving it, so I've had to do it all over again. But if you look at my ears, I've got a covering on my ears. You might think that was for warmth, but it isn't. It was solely to try to keep, it was my attempt to keep my earbuds in the ear and not fall out. I've had the earbuds fall out riding down when I'm going about 30 plus miles an hour. Had to go back and find them. Fortunately, I did find them. Now, I found that, well, they don't keep the earbuds from falling out of the ear. It did actually keep them, so it just fell inside that. But that kind of is self-defeating, and they're not that comfortable. I prefer the openness of for the ear. It's just a little cooler, and so in a day or so I will take those off the helmet and just use tape on my ears, or I'll use earbuds that have a clip around the ear to hold it in. And the difference is these are Samsung Earbuds Pro 2, and they really keep out the noise and make a nice, pleasant ride. Whereas my other ones, they kind of sit a little loose in the ear, and I have trouble hearing the music because there's so much noise surrounding it. I could push them further in the ear, and that would probably resolve much of that, but then it becomes a little more uncomfortable. So again, you see me talking about my wife getting the motorhome repaired. And well, she did a great job getting that done. It made her just a little antsy and worried, trying to meet up with me, since she has no idea where I am or if I'm okay. And I, of course, know that I'm fine. She just doesn't know that. However, in my defense, she does have Life 360 to keep track of me, and she also has a Garmin live track so that she can watch it live. It's a little difficult when you're driving around in a motorhome to actually do that, though. So I probably should repeat maybe some of my safety equipment outside of the helmet, which is an MIPS helmet, MIPS. I don't know what that stands for, but it is supposed to be the best type of helmet you can buy for an accident. The other thing I bought this helmet just recently. It's not as good as my other helmets in terms of cost and lightweight and everything, but what it does have is a little brim, and so that keeps the sun out of my eyes. I'm amazed at how well it actually works. I wish they had that same brim for my more expensive helmets. Plus this one is yellow where my other ones are white, so it's slightly more visible, I think. And I also ride with a mirror on my helmet or on my glasses. In this case, I'm riding with the mirror on my glasses. But since I didn't take the helmet mirror off my other helmet, I just used this one. Then I use the Garmin rear radar, and I use the Garmin rear radar that takes pictures. So, another bridge, by the way, so that if I was in an accident, it's a continuous loop picture, so there would be some evidence of the accident. Heaven forbid should I be hit from the rear or something to that effect. I also use a flashing headlight and a flashing tail light, and both of them are extremely bright and daylight visible type lights. And then my rear view radar by Garmin also has a light, but I don't count on that one to attract attention, just a little bit, I guess. A third light I have shining to the back is a flashing red blue light, but it's not quite as bright as the other ones. But because it flashes red and blue, I think it attracts attention a little more than normal. Now, what else do I use? For safety, that's probably it. I normally use Shimano shoes. I do like bicycle shoes versus, say, tennis shoes or something. And they're road shoes versus mountain type shoes. With clipless pedals. I don't know why they call them clipless pedals, since they literally clip in, your foot clips in the pedal. Well, I actually know why, because they used to have toe clips in the really old days, and they got rid of those toe clips in this style pedal. Much more comfortable, much more efficient. So I had used, for the most part, Shimano shoes that form fit to the foot. This one I'm trying Pearl Zumi for the first time, and I bought them basically because the way they tighten on the foot is very comfortable. I'm not sure which shoe I actually like better. There's some advantages for each one. The next thing I have, of course, is the video camera, and that I only use, though, when I'm traveling on a trip like this. I wear gloves, and if you don't wear gloves cycling, I highly recommend it, because if you do get in an accident, there's the tendency to slide on the pavement. And the other reason is because they have padding in there to soften the cushioning when you're holding onto the handlebars. I also use a heart rate monitor. I run with the Garmin 1030 Plus computer system, and I don't use all the toys that it does, but it does allow me to send out emergencies, so that for instance, one part of this trip, which occurs tomorrow, that I've actually cut out of the video because I'm embarrassed. My wolf pulled over in a spot that was somewhat steep and gravelly. So as I got off in the gravel, my bike just slipped. Of course, it's at an angle, I'm just slipping down the side. And as it slipped down the side, I just fell down, and the bike alarm went off. And it's designed to do that, and it will call people and let them know you're in an accident, and I'm assuming send out a location. I don't know. So there's a few advantages to it. Again, I only use about 1/5 of the stuff that it does, but when you look at my my video at the beginning and end, I'm not sure at the beginning of this one, but at the end you'll see all the different stats that it provides. And I do like that. I ride with a Specialized Creo e-bike. Okay, here's where I'm crossing back over the dry riverbed, and I have to stop and make sure this is the spot that I want to do it, because it does continue for a very short distance on this side. So it takes me a little while to decide to do that. And I was hoping that these guys would stop so I could ask them, but they just rode on, and I probably would have done the same thing because I didn't wave at them and ask them a question, right? And the other thing is I do ride with full bike gear. My jerseys, bicycle jerseys, I ride with shorts. And there's a purpose for all that. I was like many people. I thought the bike riding stuff just made you look like everybody else that's out riding. So I tried riding with regular shorts, a shirt, and that's the way I started out, of course. And then I found out that there was some use to pretty much everything, including the back pockets where you can just throw your gels, your bars that you're going to eat. You can even put in there CO2 cartridges to blow up your tires, a spare tire, whatever it is that you want, and your phone if you want to put your phone in your back pocket. So there's a lot of advantages to having it that way. The shorts, I like the form-fitting shorts. I find that for me, I'm just more comfortable, and they just for like riding, I feel uncomfortable when I ride and the short is flopping back and forth. These polyester shorts, or whatever they're actually made of, it's nice that they just fit tightly. And the other thing they do when they do that, of course, is provide a little compression to your legs, and that, I believe, helps. But the other thing they do have is a liner that you sit on that provides a little more padding than normal. And I, of course, wear bib shorts rather than regular shorts because I have a little bit of a belly, so I prefer the comfort that bib shorts provide. Now, having said all this, I don't recommend you go out and buy cheap shorts that aren't brand name. They don't fit near as well. They're not near as comfortable. You might find a pair that fits perfectly, but it's kind of hard to do that via mail. It's a lot easier if you go into a bike shop and try on different shorts and see how they fit you, because everybody has a personal comfort that they like. So here you can see what the Garmin produces in the video, all the information that you can get out of it, including the graphic of your elevation, your trip. The trip part is being hidden by the video itself. That's being shown in the right-hand corner. And it can give you your exact elevation, where you're at, the temperature, your heart rate, power that you're using, miles per hour, distance, duration, time of day, and date, everything. And obviously a lot more than that. But those are ones that I just threw up there. The one thing that the Garmin, a disadvantage it has, and I'm okay, if you don't have it, all your electronic devices started when you press the on button for the ride, or the play, record button, whatever you want to call it. It's not the one that turns the computer on, it's the one that makes it start running and recording for the trip. As soon as you press that computer will not allow you to add any other electronic device. So here, when I started the day, I forgot to turn on my heart rate monitor until I started the ride, and it would not pick it up. So what I would have had to have done was completely save the ride, turn it completely off, and then turn it back on, and it would have read everything fine and would have continued, and it would have been okay. I just have a tough time doing that, and I forget doing a lot of things. By way of an example, I started my ride, and I do ride a pedal assist e-bike, and I forgot to turn it on, but I'd already pressed the start button. Well, that means I'm not going to record any of the power functions, cadence functions, etc. that is offered in the e-bike. And so I had to turn it off completely and back on. It's not that bad. You just, when you're recording this as a ride, every time you turn the computer off and back on, it breaks that ride up, and it doesn't allow you to merge the rides. You have to go out and find a program to merge the different data that's produced by the Garmin, you merge it together, and you can make one complete ride. So I ended up doing that on about 6 of the videos. Most of the time I just left my computer on for the entire ride. So as you can see, I'm up here apologizing. I've stopped putting any further comments on the ride because this particular video is so long. Because it's 2/3 of the ride on the loop. And it was just difficult. So I'm coming up to a point when I go under the pass here that I'm just going to check where I'm at, where my wife is at, and see how we're doing. You can see I've still got about half of the ride on the loop to go still, and that's just the way it goes. But I'm enjoying myself. I'm just okay, I'm a little upset that I waited so long to start the ride because it's a lot easier to meet with my wife and just relax for a half an hour, see how she's doing, and let her know I'm fine, and say having a sandwich, and then going on my way. Now you're going to wonder, did I lose any weight on this particular ride from Florence to Austin, Texas, my version of the Southern Tier? And the answer is I don't know. I actually think I did, but what happened was on the 3 weeks of the ride, I would have a milkshake every day or ice cream every day, one of the two. Generally a milkshake, and I'd eat that with my dinner. And then I got such a habit of doing that for the next 3 weeks when I wasn't riding. I also had a milkshake or ice cream every day, and that's not conducive to losing weight. It is conducive to gaining weight. So by the time I got home, after 3 weeks of doing nothing, I had put on several pounds, I think 4 pounds. So we'll see what my wife says.
I'm going to try to at least get another.
And quite frankly, I don't remember, but she is.
Okay, dear.
I think at the time I'm talking to her here, she's in the area of a Costco, which I end up driving by down the road. I didn't realize that. I'm sure she didn't realize exactly where I was either. But as we sit here, or well, actually I'm standing, you can see the beautiful mountains off to your side. And so it is, you could see the mountains pretty much most of the time, except when you had buildings in the way. The trees provide shade, you can see that this late in the day. I've been on other bike trails where the trees were much larger, but these trees are adequate for this bike trail. And as I go on my way, I'm just going to, I think, finish eating my energy bar, which I can tell you is going to be a Cliff bar. But they're not the only energy bars out there that you might like. They just happen to be the ones that I like. So, as I said earlier, I'm enjoying myself, but I'm getting a little frustrated because I know my wife is very frustrated. She's just driving around and now looking for me, and I know where I'm at, kind of. It's just that I'm not next to a road where she can be at. So another bridge, by the way. And the good news is my wife has ridden this trail with me twice. I think I may or may not have mentioned she actually rode the entire loop with me on one day, and that's the longest ride she's ever had in her life. We did take a wrong turn for part of it because the trail isn't actually marked really well. It would be nice if it was, and I think the locals know exactly how to go and where to go, and I'm not a local. So we made it, I think, right around 60 miles for the ride, and that is a really good ride for her. So she has been on this before, plus she was on it with me twice when we just went riding on the times when I did the 10 times the speed video. She rode with me in both those days, I believe. So she should be in the videos. Again, if you go to Crime Cycle, you can see those videos. I have videos of the Sacramento Bike Trail, of the Bakersfield Bike Trail. I have some different trips I've done here in Arizona, and a few other ones in California. I have the full trip I've done in the Southern Tier, my Southern Tier version. I followed it fairly closely up until I got just before the turn to go up to Phoenix. I just followed Interstate 8 in the direction of Florence, Arizona. But I've got all those videos. The first part of the video that I did from San Diego to Florence, Arizona, those videos are, I think, all done in 10 times the normal speed, and then I've added in audio and video and various other things to give you what would be like a flyover of the area where we're riding. And again, what I may have mentioned, if you don't know, I'm going to turn 75 this year. I have 6 stents and a pacemaker. I got in a serious bike accident 5 years ago, broke both my wrists, took out the rear window of a car that had stopped in a bike lane with my head, and I still don't have memory of the events leading up to the accident. I have memory right after I broke out the window, but not before that. Following that, COVID was a short time later, like a year or so later, and that's when I had my stents and my pacemaker. And so I ended up buying an electric bike to see how that worked, and I obviously liked it so much I gave my son my regular road bike. And I've been riding the electric bike since then. But remember, they're pedal assist. If I don't pedal, I don't get any assistance. There is no throttle. It's just that simple. And this bike has the 3 levels of assist that I've mentioned before. And with the first level assist, you can ride about 80 miles. They make an extender battery that can add an extra 40 miles. So in theory, you can go 120 miles on flatlands. And I do get that, by the way. When I only ride in the low speed I can easily get the full 80 miles. But the other advantage to an e-bike is when you've ridden a certain distance, and say it's late in the day to come home, or you have a huge headwind coming home or a steep hill, you can just increase the level of assistance and make the ride much easier if need be. So the need for a pacemaker is kind of weird. My heart, it doesn't have a murmur, but it has like a pause. So when I'm in heavy breathing mode, when my heart rate gets up around 150, so I'm going to say 140 to 150, 160, it'll just pause. And so my heart rate monitor was reading my heart at 60 beats per minute when it really was around 140 to 150. I put it on the arm. I find the reading to be much more accurate, and the pacemaker ensures that if my heart stops and pauses, it doesn't stop, it pauses, it will do it for the heart, so that it may pause once, but it'll keep going after that. So at some point up here, hopefully we're going to cross back over the river. And what maybe I should do is just let this run out, because there's no need for you to just listen to me, although I see there's some dead spots. I wonder why there is that. There should be music in all of these spots. You don't see what I'm looking at, but what I've used it for the music in the background, if you're wondering, is I have a Shamalue Music, ASHAMALUE Music, and it is free to those people that are just posting videos, as long as they're not posting them for money. Obviously, if one makes money off the videos, one should be paying for the background music. I don't intend on ever getting to the point of making money on any of my videos. But that's the music that you hear, is the free music by them. I'm sure it's a single person who has recorded it all. And if you don't like the music, I apologize, but it's free. If I post music that's my favorite music, is what I used to do, they have to add ads in order to make money off the music. And I think that's kind of worthless. So the area I'm going by right now is, I think, where Costco is. And which should tell me if I stop up here or not, and make another call to see how my wife is doing. You can probably tell it's getting late in the day, so we're probably around 5 o'clock right now. Maybe even 5:10, 5:20. No, I thought I was going to stop. I guess I'm not going to. No. So if you have any comments, things like you think I should add to the video, can you let me know? If you enjoy the video, please leave a thumbs up. If you don't enjoy it, please don't leave a thumbs down. And if you leave comments, try not to be negative. I admit my feelings are easily hurt, and I guess they shouldn't be, but they are. I don't do things to intentionally hurt other people's feelings, and I don't do things. I may do things that videoed in a particular way that you don't like, and that's okay when you say that. It's just how you say it. You probably know what I'm talking about in terms of people who can be rude. Most people aren't at all. But I'd like to know if there's thoughts on how to improve making the video a particular way. I know all the bike videos I watch are done differently, and so I guess it's just a personal preference. What you do, how you do it, and how much time you got to do it in. So here we go. I'm going to stop and I think try to get a hold of my wife. And I'm asking this young lady if the bike trail continues much further. She actually tells me, yeah, it goes down to the end. You got a long ways to go. It goes all the way down the trail. And she must mean it goes all the way down the trail on the other side, because after about a mile, it's maybe even less. This side of the bike trail ends and I go to the other side. So at this point, I'm going to thank you for watching. I am going to just simply let the video run out so you can watch it the entire way. I contact my wife again when I get to the other side, and plan to meet up with her. And then the plan to meet up with her right there isn't any good because the road's not wide enough for a place for her to stop in the motorhome. And so I just agreed to meet with her a little further down the road where the bike trail meets up with the road completely. And I beat her to that spot, and then just take off straight down the road where the bike trail parallels that road. And by the time I get to the end, she still hasn't caught up to me, so I simply stopped riding at that point for the day. I could have ridden straight on through, but it was starting to get dark, and my wife was concerned about that, and she probably wanted dinner too. She's hungry, and we needed to find a place to spend the evening. It took us about 45 minutes or more to find a place to eat, and in fact, we were going to try at some pilot truck stops, and they all appeared to be full, so that was out. We went to a business lot that didn't have no camping posted, went inside and asked them if we could park our motorhome there overnight, and we got in the morning and they said absolutely not, you can't park it there. But some patrons there, one of them was nice enough to tell my wife that the trucks regularly park straight across the street in the dirt, and you see them there all the time, and nobody does anything, and that's where we spent the night. But they also invited us to their apartment complex and said we could park there if we wanted to do that. but we spent the night there. I think I mentioned this before, but if I didn't, there's a misconception that Walmart allows parking at all its Walmarts. They've changed their policy, and very few Walmarts allow overnight parking. So when you get to cities like this, Tucson, or bigger cities, they don't want you parking in their lot. We found that later on, even in some of the smaller cities where there was a Walmart, they didn't want you parking there. So we did spend a couple of nights at Walmarts, but most of the time we didn't stay at Walmarts. I think we stayed at 2 Walmarts in our 3 weeks. We stayed at pilots or truck stops probably 80% of the time. And then we found other areas, like we parked in front of a veterans place one night. And another night, we spent the night at a bishop in our church's home. He invited us to just simply park a motorhome there, and that was very nice. So we spent the night at my wife's aunt's house. We spent the night at the end of the ride at the area where my daughter lives. Because they're controlled by an HOA, we didn't want to just park there continuously for 3 or 4 days. So we moved the motorhome at night and slept in their parking lot designed for guests. We didn't have any issues there either. So all in all, it turned out well. We never did pay for anywhere we're going. So here the bike trail ended on this side of the river, and we're just going back to the roadway. I'm still amazed. Look at the distance of this road that they went when they could have just brought us up a little hill and brought us right to here. But what the heck, it's just a bike ride anyhow. You see that you can ride on the sidewalk, you're protected from the traffic, very safe. And the bike trail entrance is just on the other side of the dry river bed. Having been down here before, I'm familiar with where it's at, but I don't remember if it's posted or not that the bike entrance is there, but it's kind of obvious if you're paying attention and know that that's a bike trail that you're looking down on right there. So our entrance is right here. So I'm just calling my wife at this point and telling her to go on ahead, keep going and traveling, and I'll meet her down the road slightly. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ride again along the north side of the dry riverbed until the bike trail literally ends along the river, and then it goes off to the left and goes straight out to the road where I was going to meet her. From there, when it hits the road, the bike trail is a sidewalk for a short distance and then widens out and becomes a nice bicycle pedestrian path that's very safe and actually has a slight uphill, more so than we've been going. You really don't notice the uphill that you're riding all day, but if you look at the gradient off on your right, you can see that I have, since I got on the Loop bicycle trail off the Cañada del Oro bicycle trail, it's been a steady ride uphill, and but you barely notice it. You do notice it if you're coming down, because you just go much faster coming in the opposite direction. So here we are back on the bicycle trail. there might be a very small portion that was cut out when I converted. I might have, what was more than likely was I probably stopped the video and then started it back up, but forgot to start it right away. But this is fairly close to where I got back on. So again, there isn't much to add. If you just watch it to the end, that's simple enough. The bike trail continues like this, and then down the separate sidewalk bicycle trail where the road dead ends, and I get off and get a ride with my wife. The bike trail actually continues on for about 2 miles, max of 3, but I think it's 2 miles. It might even be 1, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. A good watching it. So I'm getting a phone call. Probably telling me that my wife's not there ready. So yeah. And as I listened to that, so anyway, so the bike trail does continue about 2 miles straight south, because that I'll be going south there, and it comes right out at almost the exact spot where we camp, and then the ride continues on for tomorrow's ride. And the beginning of tomorrow's ride, I actually cut part of it out because I thought I started the video and I didn't notice that until I got about 5 miles down the road or so. It might have been even further than that. So again, thank you for watching. I'm going to stop my recording. This still goes on for approximately maybe 10 minutes. Yeah, maybe even 12 minutes. But again, you'd want to watch it just to see how everything goes. Another bridge. And familiar yourself with the Tucson bike trail. If you've had enough, I'm okay. Well, of course, you've listened to it this long, so what the heck. Anyhow, thanks for watching my video, and feel free to leave me a thumbs up if you liked the video. And please, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, go to my website and watch them if you enjoy this video. I think you would enjoy the other ones as well. Thank you again.